Hey everybody, Deborah Morris here. I'm talking with Stacy Luna from Atlantic Bay Mortgage, and we just started talking about what buyers' expectations are in this market. We're sitting at an open house. It's $420,000, so I figured I'd start off by just having her talk about different options for buyers to come and purchase homes around this price point to start.
Yeah, so thanks for inviting me, by the way.
You're welcome.
And we look at something in this price point. Now, this house, I will say, this is move-in ready, beautiful. I think I was talking to you, and I was like, wow, I remember like my first, second, or third house wasn't nearly this nice. This has a pool. This is in Lake Mary, which is where you want to be, quite frankly. Most of Seminole County is just a huge draw for people, for our schools and for our lifestyle here. And, something in this price point though, sometimes I do feel is a little bit of sticker shock for people. I think they're like it's because basically if you're putting down the minimum on this property with taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance, you're looking at around $3,000 to buy it. Okay, that's your monthly payment. And some people then say, well, I can afford that monthly, but I don't have the cash to close, because minimum down to probably get into this, unless you're a veteran, is about 30 grand, just under $30,000. We do have programs though that are can give you at a minimum potentially up to $10,000 to buy the property. So there brings it down to 19. There are also programs that will, if cash to close is not an issue, but you have an issue with, say, your monthly payment, there's an option to potentially ask the seller to contribute towards a buy down, whether it's a temporary, permanent buy down. Those exist. And that can sometimes give you like a couple of years of leeway to get you scaled up to a little bit larger payment, up to the final payment of around $3,000. So there are definitely options for that. We were also though talking about buyers. I do feel like a lot of buyers today are thinking that it's a slow market. Well, let me rephrase that. They think it's a downward market, right? They think that sellers are desperate. And that really is not the case, right? No. It is a slower market, though. That is really the right word.
It is a balanced market.
Correct.
Versus the seller's market that we had last year, the year before, and the year before that.
Exactly. So, and when I say slower, I mean all properties aren't going within a week of going on, right?
Correct.
So,
multiple offers.
Yeah.
Highest and best.
So, and that's a mixture of the monthly payment, what people can afford, do they have the cash to move, does it hit the right timeline of where they need to be out of the lease that they're in, kind of thing. So the biggest thing I want to just share with you today is, and we were talking about this earlier, is that when you look at the price of a property, so let's say it's $420,000, let's say you think you're going to offer $400 to the seller because you think that's what it's worth, or you think I want to get a good deal. $20,000 to you as the consumer in your payment is going to matter on your monthly payment, your cash flow, roughly about $120 a month. It's not significant, is what I'm trying to say. To me, $120, I mean, I was talking to a friend the other day, and they were talking about, difference between one rate and another rate. And I said, it's like $30, this particular scenario. And I'm like, and they had just told me that they had gone to a restaurant the day before. And I said, what did you spend when you went to that restaurant? And they're like, I spent like $82. I said, yeah. Mm-hmm. I said, so in the scheme of things, $120 in your monthly mortgage payment isn't huge. Now, I'm not saying you should ever buy something and be house poor, or you can't sleep at night, because first and foremost, we care about our clients and we want them to be happy and not be concerned that they're going to go into foreclosure or something along those lines, right? So, but at the same time, we need to really think about where we're spending our money.
And the way I look at it, and you gave a really good example, we've seen a lot of buyers really offer a low offer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost like, as a primary listing agent, do you think that seller is going to accept an offer that's $50,000-$60,000 less than list price?
No.
They're not desperate. There's a lot of investors out there doing that already. They're throwing offers out there like candy, hoping that one will stick.
Yeah.
Okay, so you as a buyer, by offering, let's say for example, 50 or 60,000 less, do you think, number one, is the seller going to do that? And number two, you had shared for every 10,000 lower that or increase, one of the two,
up
difference
or down.
on that offer is only right now approximately $65 a month in your payment. Do you think that $65 a month in your monthly payment will affect you more, or do you think that you'll have that chance of losing that offer to that seller because you are offering that much lower?
Yeah.
So if you're contemplating that $10,000 to $20,000 difference from that list price, and you're in possibly you will love that house and you want that house, do you think that seller is in a situation where they'll say, I am willing to take $20,000 less in my net?
Yeah, it's huge.
Just so you can save $65 a month in your payment.
We're also seeing right now, again, and I get it, nothing is inexpensive today. I don't think anything is inexpensive, right? I look at the way I used to spend money back 20, 30 years ago, and I was talking to somebody about an ornaments I have that I bought in New York on a trip, and I remembered, and I bought like 12 of them, and I think I spent like $25 in an ornament. I'm thinking, would I do that today? Probably not. You know what I mean? It's just because it's not important to me anymore, right? So I think how we spend our money is very important, and we're spending it on the things that matter long term, right? When you spend money on a home and you're going to live there for a long term, you're going to gain equity over the long term, right? So I don't mean a year from now or 2 years from now, but I'm talking about if you're going to live there 5, 10, 15 years, we see it all the time, how much money properties have gone up. We of course did see during the early 2020s, when in the late teens of 2000, we did see properties jump dramatically. That is an anomaly. That is not normal. Okay.
Don't wish a pandemic again.
Yeah, please. But the average of 3 to 5% a year in appreciation is the norm. So you can't buy something today and flip it in 2 years without doing something dramatic to it and make money at it, right? And even if you did throw a bunch of money in, it doesn't mean you're going to make as much as what you put in, just because it's a market, right? Depending on that particular area. But one thing I see is buyers who need help with closing costs. They also need to keep their payment at a certain price point, or monthly payment, excuse me. And they're looking at homes that are too much money. And so then they're having to go in and offer $20,000 or $30,000 less, ask for 3% or more in closing costs, and then they still don't really like the payment. And I'm like, but you can't have everything, right? It's like the old adage, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to pick what's most important. And our job as your lender and as your realtor is to kind of give you all the pros and cons of that to help you just make those decisions for yourself, right? But you have to decide, okay, what's the most important thing? Well, the most important thing is keeping our monthly payment here. Okay, then here's how we can get there. And that usually means a lower price point of a home. And you're not going to be able to go at a house that's $420 and offer them $380, and they're going to take it, and you need them to pay closing costs, some of them, and it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I was sharing with buyers too. We are in Orlando, turning into just like another metropolitan city.
Oh, for sure.
Everybody loves to be within a short distance to their work.
Yep.
But unfortunately, because of supply and demand, and people want to move to Central Florida, they're going to start, in order to get yourself into a home that is your comfortable monthly payment that you're looking at, you may have to go a little bit further out.
Yep.
The west side of town is growing like crazy. You got the north side of Volusia County that is growing like crazy. So it's just sitting down with an agent and going over what is really more important. If those payments are important, don't insult the seller and offer them a ridiculously low offer and then additional closing costs. You're not going to have very good chance of getting that offer accepted.
Yeah.
And so let's sit down and look at the comparables. And yes, if they priced it too high, then yeah, let's go in there and let's work it out. And we have a system as far as appraisal and things like that. They can go that direction. But also trust these agents that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where I have found that a lot of people, buyers and sellers, may not trust the market information that is being shown to them by their agent, saying this is the best strategy, price point, listing price, staging. There's a lot of different moving parts to help real estate flow as smoothly as possible. And I'm really optimistic. I think this is a great market.
I think it's awesome. A great time to buy. I do want to say that when I was telling you that, people are offering less, asking for concessions, what you need to realize as a buyer, if you are a buyer in this market, is that the seller is looking at their bottom line.
Oh yes.
There's sellers that the seller isn't going to be like, okay, and we'll do, kind of like when you go buy something and they want to add something onto it. They're looking at the bottom line. So if you offer them $30,000 less than what they're asking, and then you're asking for another $10,000 or more in closing costs, you are effectively offering them $40,000 less.
And all
Think
sellers
about how
need
big that is.
Yeah, and all sellers need that money for something.
Yeah.
Whether it be buying a smaller home, a larger home, having to move.
Yeah.
There's so many different reasons why they need that
could be
money.
Somebody going into a retirement facility
Right.
because of their age. We're seeing that a lot too. And they need every dime they can get because that's all the earning money that they have left.
Yep.
They may not have any additional money that needs to last them for the next 20 years of their life. So there's people on around the entire table of buying a home. There are people, and they need to get the most that they can for it. You ideally as a buyer you want to pay as little as possible, because I was sharing with you earlier, Deborah, is that my father taught me, you make your money on the buy, not on the sale, right? But you have to understand that if a property is on the market for X amount and your realtor says to you, that's really what it's worth, or you're within $10,000 of what it's being listed for, that you have to trust that this is what it's worth. And then the question is, can I afford to pay that? Mm-hmm. Can I afford that? Then go in with that in mind, because you will make some sellers angry if you offer them $50,000 less.
And they're not going to all negotiate and counter.
Yeah.
They're going to just completely reject it if they feel insulted.
Yeah.
I do want to remind you. I do remind you too. There's over 13,000 properties for sale active right now in Central Florida.
That's
so
awesome.
That's a lot to pick from.
Yeah.
So by saying, hey, I don't have anything to pick from, you may have to change your area a little bit, but there is a lot to pick from. And a lot of the major roads give it easy access to get places. So please consider different areas that you can look at. And then, like I said, let's work, because there's a lot of different Hometown Heroes is out. Still has some money funds there.
So there's when I checked last week, there was over 35 million still left in Hometown Heroes, which is a special program. You have to work. You have to be a frontline worker in the areas of medical, in the areas of police, fire, our actual true community service people. I do want to mention this. It is the best time to buy, because if you wait until January to buy something, this is really important, okay? And if you stayed this long, this is really important. If you wait to January to buy, your homestead, which is and I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but we can talk to you offline about it. Your homestead won't start until 2027. So whatever the taxes are on that property, that's what you will be paying. And then next year, you'll be paying that for the entire year. So if there's a potential that your taxes could go down and you're going to stop the the increase of the value of that home, you need to do it by the end. You have to own the property, you have to close on the property by the end of the year and live in it. Those are kind of the rules. So buying before the end of 2025.
And closing, yes.
And everything, buying and closing by the end of the year and living in the property, having utilities in your name are what make it your homestead. And then you have until, I'm going to say the end of February, because I never like to tell people March, because it's March 1.
You're right.
So it's the end of February, you have to file it, but as long as you own it and you're living in it by the end of December, now your taxes will change. So especially if you're a veteran, right? And perhaps you have 100% disability, which means you won't pay any property taxes in the state of Florida except for non-ad valorem. So a very, very small number if you even have it. If you buy, I have a veteran who's closing this year, they have 100% disability. That means come January, and their taxes on the house they're buying are like $8,000 a year. So that will come off at the beginning of January with our servicing department. So that it can be a very big deal. So you always want to close if you can by the end of the year. And last thing I want to point out is that when you close, let's say you closed in November or December, you will always skip the next month. There won't be any mortgage payment. So whether you close November 1 or November 30, there's no payment due until January.
And I also wanted to bring up, you were talking about, okay, if the interest rates do drop, what do you think that's going to do to the buyers? No, but I mean, that's what they're saying, is that the interest rates are going to drop two more times by the end of the year. Well, really, if they do, how much? Well, it's probably very little. But the point I'm trying to really want to emphasize, let's say you want to wait till after January to buy.
Yeah.
And let's say the interest rates do drop. At what point do they drop enough that it's going to pull out another, everybody has different numbers. Thousands of buyers that are now going to be your competition. Do you think that will give you the opportunity to possibly offer less, ask them to do repairs, or give concessions when there are more buyer competition?
No.
So
it's a supply and demand, right? So the more supply that there is, the less potentially the less demand for that. At the same time, when we make the supply more plentiful by lower interest rates or by more inventory, one or the other, then that affects the demand. So we have to realize that if rates were to dip even 0.5% more, there would be significantly more people that come off the sidelines and get into the market. When that happens, now your competition is far greater than where it is today. That is what will cause home prices to increase.
Yeah. Well, it's just a matter of talking to your lender to find out if it drops this much in percentage of the interest rates, what will that do with my payment versus I can ask for money back towards closing costs or a little bit lower,
purchase price
versus if it's multiple offers, you probably have a better chance of offering more than list price.
Yeah.
So it's playing those numbers and talking to someone. And again, we're talking buyers.
Yeah.
I'm a listing agent. Okay, so there is a lot that we can talk about when I'm not talking to a lender about buyers, and that I would love to be able to talk to you about what does your house need to look like and the marketing around getting top dollar in this market when there's 13,000 plus in inventory.
Yes.
So definitely reach out to us, and so that way we can talk more. 321-348-0014.
Stacy Luna, Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, 407-832-3729. Text me. That's the best number to reach me at. Just text me. Don't email me. Don't go to my website. Just text me, 407-832-3729.
And I will be posting this on a variety of different sites, but of course you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel and get notified whenever we have new updates with new business partners.
Yeah, we're here for you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.